If you want to be the best, you got to beat the best, and the best is blessed, baby.
All right, gentlemen, we've been over the rules. Protect yourself at all times. Follow my instructions. Keep it clean. Touch gloves if you wish. Let's do it.
Straight Talk MMA, hosted by Zay Brotherz and Trevor.
Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of Straight Talk MMA.
Yo, what's up?
How's it going, Bone?
Everything good. I
I
got a heavy heart because of Bray Wyatt, but besides that,
Yeah, it's been a crazy week in the wrestling community,
yeah.
for sure. Sorry for the late review, but had some scheduling issues. But we are here to break down the results of UFC 292. So overall, what did you think about the card?
Overall, I thought it was a good card. The crowd was on fire, and that kind of made it. It kind of just set the pace, or it set the energy, set the tone for the night. And I would say probably from like the first fight, all the way to the main event. Obviously, the crowd was into it. It was live. As far as the performances from the fighters themselves, I thought the performances was pretty good. It was a good card. It lived up to expectation, and it's been consecutive pay-per-views where the UFC has been putting on bangers.
I was just gonna say, the UFC has not missed on a pay-per-view in a while. This has been a awesome 2023 for them, and as we round out the year, we got a few more big ones coming up. So the way it's looking is set to be an eventful remainder of the year when it comes to the pay-per-views.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
But let's go ahead and get right into this thing, starting with the first fight of the night from UFC 292, which, by the way, it was a very successful event. They broke the gate record for Boston Garden. They said it was the highest ticket sales aside from when the Celtics were in the final. And also they said it was the biggest bantamweight pay-per-view title fight in UFC history. So with that being said, we're gonna start it off with our very first fight of the night, opening up the early prelims. We had the killer, Karine Silva, versus the Iron Lady, Marina Moroz. What did you think about that fight?
All right, so for this fight, I picked Silva to win because I thought that Moroz was kind of on the decline. And just from the opening bell, you can tell she was like the young, hungry lion in the cage, and I feel like she just kind of dominated her. As far as Karine Silva, she has 17 wins, and they're all by finish. She's the first female UFC fighter in her division with 3 consecutive first round finishes, and she caught her with a left hook, and it dropped her, and then she ended up catching her in the guillotine, and she submitted her, which she also is the first person to submit Morose or to finish her period. She's never been finished before, so that was pretty impressive. And she submitted her with 1 second left in the round, and that was real impressive also.
Yeah, I picked Marina Moroz to win this fight. What I didn't know going into it was that this was a rematch. They fought each other on a regional circuit. Marina Moroz picked up the win. Um, I feel like Marina Moroz was really confident until she got hit with that hook that dropped her. And once she got dropped, you can tell she was tentative on the feet. And Karine Silva, she looks huge for a flyweight. But yeah, she ended up taking it to her on the feet. I feel like Marina Moroz tried to get back into it and regain her confidence by throwing combinations, but every time she get hit, you can see the difference in the power. And then once they went to the ground, Karine Silva is a submission specialist. She got that guillotine choke. Marina Moroz tapped out with 1 second left in the round, which I thought was kind of crazy. I felt like I don't know if she just wanted out or if I mean, far be it from me to question anybody's will when they stepping in the cage, but I just felt like I don't know if she wasn't aware of the 1 second, if she didn't hear the clappers or what, but I feel like
Um,
she probably watches that fight regretting that she didn't tough it out for 1 more second.
yeah, I think I don't remember exactly, but I think it was 8 or 9 seconds left once she sunk in the choke. So it's not like she was gonna pass out, if she would have held on for a few more seconds. So I agree with that completely. I
Not
feel like
not, not
she
even a
definitely
few
had that.
more, just really one more because
Yeah,
she literally tapped as the one was coming off the clock. So that
and
was pretty
Kareem,
exciting.
yeah, Kareem, she said she didn't realize how much time was on the clock. She just straight up went for the finish, and that's why they call her the killer. She got the perfect nickname.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I'm looking forward to see more of her and how her career plays out. Um, so that started off the card with a lot of excitement, and then next up, we moved right into another flyweight bout as Andrea KGB Lee squared off against Natalia Silver. KGB uh, pretty much coming into like being a seasoned vet versus Natalia Silva, who's new on the scene. Also, her third UFC fight. What did you have on this?
Um, this fight, I'm a fan of KGB and Drew Lee. She was ranked number 13, if I remember right, in this fight, and Silva was unranked. If I was her manager, I would not have let her take in this fight because Silva is like an up and comer. It's like just like the fight before. She's like a young hungry lion. Um, she caught her with some nice combinations, man, and her footwork, like the way she was moving, it was real awkward, and I felt like it kind of caught Andrea off guard. She caught her with, I believe it was a hook or something like that, and it kind of stumbled her. I don't think she dropped, but she stumbled and kind of like stumbled halfway back across the cage. She was catching her with some nice head kicks too, and she just kind of just beat her up, man, for like 3 rounds and dominated her.
Yeah, I would agree. Not really much more to add to that. Natalia Silver, I feel like the biggest thing that stood out to me was the speed differential. Natalia Silver was a lot faster. She had that kind of like traditional Taekwondo stand, kind of like a Wonder Boy. And what impressed me was like every 2 seconds you see her hips swivel like she was feinting the kicks, and those kicks would come from everywhere, all different angles. I feel like KGB Lee, she tried to put the pressure on her at one point, and she ran right into it. Was a stiff jab that kind of like rung her bell. I don't think she realized how hurt she was. I know she stumbled back, and then she tried to walk forward and took that Ronda Rousey step, like stepped on her ankle and was she didn't. I don't think she realized how hurt she really was from that. So her nose got busted up. She got bloody. I saw her shaking out her hand. I felt like something was wrong with her hand. But after that, I feel like she just her offense was extremely sparse. She didn't really throw anything too much. Really, she was just pretty much circling. I feel like her best bet was to put pressure because I feel like she kept her right at the kickboxing range, the range that would be ideal for a striker such as Natalia Silva, somebody with that taekwondo. Like she stayed in kicking range pretty much, and boy did she get kicked all across the octagon. Her corner was urging her on. They was pleading for a sense of urgency, but I feel like she could just never get going. And once Natalia Silva got in her rhythm, it was just downhill from there.
I feel like it was a situation where every time she would try to move forward or throw a combination, she was just getting tagged, and therefore it left her frozen. And like you said, whenever Silva fainted, she bit on a lot of those feints too.
Yeah, she looked like she got a lot of hip dexterity. Anything else you want to add on that one?
Nah.
Okay, so moving right on to a middleweight bout, Andre Petroski won a decision over Gerald GM3 Mearshart. It was a split decision. That was a pretty close fight. What did you think about that one?
Yeah, I thought it was a competitive fight. Petrosky, we talked about this before. As coming into the fight, Petrosky, either he was going to knock him out early, or Mearshart was going to have to come from behind, and probably pull like a third round submission or something like that. Yo, what's up, Nev? But yeah, Petrosky, as soon as the fight started, it's like he knew what we all knew as far as Mearshart not having the strongest chin. So he was just throwing haymakers, like nonstop haymakers. And it's like he wasn't really trying to set it up. He was just trying to, put everything in his punch and just knock him out, basically. Um, he was catching them, but he wasn't really catching them clean. Um, and Mearshart, he ended up coming back in the third round and making it more competitive because he was getting just like washed, at the first round and at the beginning of the second round. But he ended up coming back a little bit and made it more competitive. But I feel like the judges got it right by getting Petrosky to win here.
Yeah, I felt like in the first round, Petrosky was throwing haymakers, like you said. Looked like he was really trying to end the fight early. I guess he said he don't get paid about an hour, so he was trying to get him out of there. And I felt like it was to his detriment because he definitely ended up gassing out. I did realize that when he tried to go for the takedowns, Mearshart was having none of that. He stuffed pretty much every takedown that Petrosky tried. And I don't know. I feel like Mearshart got a strong argument for winning that first round because nobody really did damage. He didn't really let his hands go at first, but when he did, he was landing. And then on the way the round ended, Petrosky actually did get a takedown, and Mearshart had him in an inverted triangle, kind of quick, like really, really quick. It was only 10 seconds left, so he didn't really get the chance to actually try to lock it up and go for the finish. But the submission threat was definitely there. The second round, I would say Petrosky kind of edged that one, but again, it was another close round. They kept it mostly on the feet. And then on the third round, Mearshart got him down. He eventually got back up, and then he got taken down again. He got back up, and then the last minute and a half, they just threw bombs. But it was obvious that Petrosky was hurt. At least once in that round, he gassed out, which I feel like contributed to him kind of like getting rocked. But I feel like in the process of Mearshart running away with the round, Petrosky just bit down on his mouthpiece and started throwing. And he connected with a couple haymakers, and I feel like that got him back into the fight. So this is one of those fights I honestly would have been satisfied with a draw, but I can't argue with the decision. Like if you go round by round, you can say that, yeah, Mearshart has a stronger case for winning it, which is how they should score it. But if you look at the fight as a total, like as if it was a street fight, then yeah, I could see Petrosky definitely winning that fight. Even though he was the bloody guy, I feel like he did a little bit more damage.
Yeah, I agree. He did more damage. As far as the first round, I gave that to Petrosky because even though he didn't do a lot of damage, he was pushing forward and controlling the pace more. So I gave the first round to Petrosky. The second was kind of close, and the third round was mere shark, in my opinion.
So did you give him the first round clearly?
Uh, it was clearly until the very end when you got the inverted triangle, but for the most part, yeah, I would say that I give it to him.
Because the way I see it, if you pushing the pace but you're not connecting, it's like what good is it really? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, but
So
in
like
return,
so do you give the offensive fighter uh more credit for trying to be offensive, or do you give the defensive fighter more credit for avoiding all of the shots? Like at that point,
okay,
who implemented their game plan better?
okay, but if you're the defensive fighter, it's your job to avoid the shots and also counter with other shots. Because he wasn't really throwing or looking to really, connect with anything, in my opinion. He was kind of throwing a
Yeah,
little jab here and there to fill out, but he wasn't really, counter. Because if Petrosky pushing that much and throwing that much bombs, there's plenty of chances for him to throw a counter. But he just kind of, that's not his style. So,
yeah. I kind of feel like maybe part of his game plan was counting on Petrosky to gas out, and that
yeah.
probably came to bite him in the ass a little bit later. So
Yeah.
that was it for the early prelims. Everything was pretty exciting up to this point, and you know what I always say, when you have early prelims, really, especially that first fight of the night, when it starts off exciting, that sets the tone, in my opinion, for the rest of the night. So by this point, I'm already looking at this card like, oh man, this is gonna be one hell of a card. The UFC done did it again. They got me. And then we step into the season finale for the bantamweight weight class of the Ultimate Fighter, and we have Superman Brad Katona versus Cody Thug Gibson.
Man, I ain't gonna lie. I definitely slept on this fight, and I slept on these fighters. Um, I don't think nobody's seen what was to come for this fight. Katona, he's more of a grappler, kind of control kind of fighter. Um,
Just say boring.
yeah, he's more boring, but he is McGregor's boy, so that does kind of give him a little clout. And I feel like a lot of people felt like he didn't really earn his spot, but at the same time, he did win the Ultimate Fighter before, and I think he won his first fight, and then he lost his next two. I believe one of his losses was to Aljo, if I'm not mistaken.
No,
Uh,
I was Marab.
Marab. Okay, there you go. But when this fight started, I felt like Katona, if he was gonna win, it would be a boring fight, and he would just use clinch work, like a John Fitch kind of fight. Uh, but man, he just came out and just started throwing haymakers and bombs, and this, not to give it such high, expectations or whatever, but it reminded me of the Forrest Griffin and Stephen Bonner Ultimate Fighter season finale. The way they just came out, just slugging it out. Gibson, I feel like he had the mentality of I'll take one and I'll give two or whatever. I'll take one and give one or whatever, and he just kind of like rock 'em, sock 'em kind of situation. And I think that he underestimated Katona on the stand up, which we all did. Nobody seen this coming. Katona had a hematoma or something on his, I believe it was his left orbital. And speaking of orbitals, Cody Gibson definitely broke his orbital, like without a doubt. His eye was so busted and his eye was so swollen, and this was just a bloody brawl. When it first started out, I felt like Cody was getting the better of him at first, but Katona just pushed forward and he just started throwing a lot of bombs and catching him with a lot of haymakers, and he just took a lot out of Cody, and Katona got the victory. It was a good fight.
Man, this fight actually won fight of the night, and Cody Gibson, I feel like he came in not respecting Brad Katona. He expected what we all expected, but man, did Brad Katona show he had heart in this one. He kind of changed the way I see him as a fighter. One thing I will say about this, there is no way. I mean, not like it matters. A winner is a winner, whether it's split or unanimous. But I definitely didn't think that this should have been unanimous. But Cody Gibson came out using his range. He had a mean 1-2 pivot game that was just serious. Every time Brad Katona got in too close, he would pivot and then hit him with a 1-2, like a long 1-2, almost like that Nate Diaz 1-2, and then pivot again and be out of the way. I thought that was pretty cool. But one thing that I did notice is that I feel like Cody Gibson should have used more knees in the clinch. I felt like being a taller, rangier fighter. But man, this was a war. It definitely gave me Bonner Griffin vibes. And I felt like it was pretty cool to see these guys get fight of the night. It kind of like made the Ultimate Fighter, kind of gave you that nostalgia of the Ultimate Fighter living up to what it used to be. So yeah, I feel like this was definitely within the first minute of this fight. You know, oh man, these guys came to fight. They both want that contract. So in round 2, I feel like Brad Katona started stepping on the gas a little bit. I feel like in the first probably minute of the fight of round 1, he threw a kick that got checked, and I could tell it really hurt his leg. And when he was in the corner, in between rounds, going into round 2, he said something to his corner, and they're like, "Yeah, forget about the leg right now. Don't worry about it." You get what I'm saying? So I know that was definitely affecting him, but he didn't show it at all. Both guys showed a lot of heart. Brad Katona won round 2, so I felt like it was 1-1 going into the third round. And in the third round, Cody Gibson came out, and I felt like he was winning the fight. He was putting pressure. He was always going forward. Every now and then he'll get rocked with a hook or uppercut, especially in the clinch. And then he hurt Brad Katona. Brad Katona got wobbly a little bit. He rushed in to try to finish. And in the midst of him trying to finish, Brad Katona got like a Muay Thai plum with one hand. And with the other hand, he hit him with like 3-4 consecutive uppercuts. And I feel like that took the fight. I feel like that was when you saw Cody's gas tank start to be affected. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And after that, he was holding his eye. Looked like he was ready to go, but then just decided, no, I'm not. I'm gonna bite down on my mouthpiece and just embrace this. And it looked like that's what he did. But from that point on, I feel like that changed the tides of the third round. I would definitely say the right person won the fight, but I thought it was way closer than what the judges thought. And after that fight, man, I was sitting there thinking like, man, this is one of those situations where I feel like both guys deserve this contract.
Yeah, I was getting.
And at the post-fight press conference, Dana said everybody was blowing his phone up, telling him that there's no way that Cody Gibson should not get a contract after the way he fought. And so it's pretty cool to see that both guys are not signed to the UFC because of that performance.
Yeah. Shout out to Nell, Nene, Kevin, Ricardo, Mike, everybody. Yeah, I was real surprised with this performance, man. I was happy with it. And Cody definitely deserved the contract after this.
Yep. So then we had one Team McGregor guy, the only one left actually, bringing home the Ultimate Fighter trophy and the contract, his second trophy. Felt like after the fight they should have presented him. She should have had his old one there, so they could have like had him. Felt like that would have been a good photo op with him holding both trophies. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I feel like they kind of missed out on that.
One thing I didn't like, if I got a nitpick, was the fact that McGregor wasn't there supporting his fighter, and you seen like Chandler in the front row, yelling and supporting his people. So that wasn't the best of looks,
Yeah, that was the theme for the whole show.
Yeah, I heard he didn't even make one weigh-in. Right?
Not one.
Yeah, that's insane.
So moving on to the lightweight division, we had a lightweight bout to determine the lightweight Ultimate Fighter. You had two teammates squaring off against each other because both of these guys were Team Chandler. You had Kurt Holloway versus Austin Hubbard. And another great matchup. What you thought about this one?
I picked Austin Herbert to win this fight. Kurt Holloway, he just seemed like he was a little hungry, or I would say tougher. It was I would say, pretty back and forth in the first round. But in the second round, you can kind of see Kurt just kind of taking over, and he caught him in the submission. I don't really have too much to say about this. The fight before, definitely, I was still kind of, going from that fight. But this was a good fight, though, and I'm proud of Kurt Holloway. He deserved it.
Yeah, I wanted Kurt to win, but I felt like it was a classic striker versus grappler just based off of watching the show. Austin Hubbard being the grappler, but they kept saying that Holloway was a third-degree black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and but I hadn't seen him use it. Austin Hubbard, he kept going for takedowns. He wasn't really getting them, and he did get one early in the first round, but Kurt Holloway did a very nice job of stripping his way back to the fence and kind of like getting his back against the fence and being able to get back up and separate from there. Then eventually Kurt Holloway started to show that his striking was a little bit more crisp than Austin Hubbard's. Austin Hubbard was definitely the more athletic. He was faster, but I feel like Kurt Holloway had his timing down and his range. And I feel like once he found that range, he was hitting them with long 1-2s and hooks, and he had a good counterpunching. He had a good counterpunching ability going into that second round. Austin Hubbard's team was calling for more takedowns. Austin Hubbard pressed Kurt up against the cage and took him down. I believe he got back up, and then Kurt Holloway caught him with a nice 3-punch combination, ending off to the body. And Austin Hubbard kind of stumbled back against the cage as he was going down. He shot for a takedown. He kind of got the takedown, but Kurt Holloway got a nice little sweep, and he locked him in an armbar. And as he was attempting the armbar, Austin Hubbard kind of stacked him and was trying to pull his arm out, and then he just switched. And one of the most beautiful, seamless transitions I've seen in a long time, from the armbar to the triangle, and got the second round submission. And the way he did that, it was just so skillful. It looked effortless. It looked like the whole time he was showing armbar, he was thinking triangle. So it's almost like he was one step ahead. And like that was a nice little chess move. Checkmated him and got him out of there. I felt kind of bad for Austin Hubbard, but I was happy for Kurt Holloway. And welcome to the UFC, Kurt.
Yeah, this was a pretty good fight.
Moving on to the very next fight. Now, we're still in the prelims, and by now it's like every fight has been pretty exciting. And then we get to this fight where we have RoboCop, Gregory Rodriguez versus Dennis Tululin.
RoboCop, he needed this fight because his last fight he got KO'd. He's a jiu-jitsu practitioner. He's a jiu-jitsu ace. And, he kind of got a little too comfortable, I would say, in his last fight with the stand-up. So this fight, in hindsight, you can tell his game plan was as soon as the fight started, get it to the ground, win, and get out of there, So when the fight started, he didn't just take him down. He lifted him up and he slammed him on the canvas, and that popped the crowd pretty good. And then he was like kind of had him in mount or whatever, and then Tululin, he was on his side, and RoboCop caught him with one elbow, and you just seen him kind of go limp and caught him with like 2 more elbows, and the referee stopped the fight. It was a little controversial because the first elbow, was to the back of the head. So I don't know if Tululin is going to protest that, because now I think he's 1-2 in the UFC or 1-3 in the UFC. So I don't know if he's going to protest that or not, but overall, it was a good performance by RoboCop. He needed that, and he got some momentum going. So I'm interested to see where they're going to match him up at next.
Yeah, I would say getting comfortable with his hands is an understatement. Like, I think he fell in love with his hands because he was knocking everybody out. Like, I've never seen this guy's jiu-jitsu. I never knew he was a black belt in jiu-jitsu because I've never seen it. He's never used it. He always tried to bang, and it usually works for him. Didn't work out in the very last fight. Yeah, he picked him up. and the way he didn't just slam him to the canvas, he kind of like walked him to the middle of the canvas and slammed him to get him away from the cage. And he was in like side control. He sliced over into mount like a knife through butter, and then he got the full mount and delivered two of the most devastating elbows that I've probably ever seen in a long, long time. Oh my God! And originally, I just want to say shout out to that referee because originally when he stopped the fight, I'm like, man, why he stopped the fight? He's stopping it early. And then when I saw that, when RoboCop got up and I saw his opponent was like asleep, I was like, oh, okay, I get it. And that's one of those situations where I would not want to be a ref because I probably would have let that man die in there.
Yeah, because
A beat on alive, I should say. It was crazy. That was real good. That was real good job by the referee. Man, I don't know what else to say about it. Rodriguez, he got a lot of power, and if he got jiu-jitsu to go behind that, it's really interesting to see where he's gonna take it. But that one elbow, the first one was in the back of the head. I didn't notice it at first, so that kind of made me worry about Dennis because I don't know what kind of damage was done from that. I can guarantee you he got a medical suspension.
yeah, most definitely. The way he went limp too is like you couldn't really tell he was completely out until you watch the replay. But in fast time, that was a good job by the ref.
Yeah, because that's what I'm saying. And to me, it looked like the referee stopped it just on the strength of how hard that second elbow was. Because after the first one, he stepped in and got close. And as soon as he landed the second one, he was like, "All right, nah, that's it." So I'm like, "Dang!" Like, but yeah, when you saw him, when you saw the aftermath, you knew the referee made a great decision. So I don't know. I feel like if it wasn't for that illegal shot, he probably would have got a performance bonus for that finish. But I do want to ask you, how far do you think he can go in the middleweight division, and what would you like to see him do next, as far as his next opponent?
How far he can go? I think he can go maybe like in the top 10. Um, I would have to pull up the rankings to see who he will go against next. But yeah, I think you can probably go like in the top 10, maybe.
Hey, your mic
But
going in and out
I
a little
feel
bit.
like if
And you borging out. You borging out, and your mic going in and out a little bit.
he kind of
You there?
like he he got he got to sit.
Hey, Bones, try to go out and come back in. All right. Well, moving on to the very next fight. Well, as far as me, for the question that I asked Bones, Gregory Rodriguez, I can see him going pretty far in the middleweight division. I just don't know. Based off of his display of jiu-jitsu, he looks like he'll be well-rounded. And by well-rounded, usually you see a guy that's well-rounded. He's pretty good everywhere, but not great anywhere. This guy, he has the potential to be great on the feet, especially with his knockout power. And then in a longer fight, because this fight ended probably like within the first minute and a half. So in a longer fight, I would like to see the extent of his jiu-jitsu game and his submission game. And if that is up to par, and I feel like the sky may be the limit for this guy. Believe it or not, he's only, I think, 29 years old. Looks a lot older than what he really is. He may be 30 at the most, but So I think that would be pretty interesting. That's definitely somebody if you new to the sport that you may want to follow and keep an eye on and watch his rise through the middleweight division. It'll be real interesting to see how they match him up next. But moving right along, we're gonna step into another middleweight bout, which was the feature bout on the prelims, and we had the All-American Chris Weidman making his UFC/ Octagon return versus Brad Tavares. This fight was really highly anticipated based off of Chris Weidman's comeback. His last time out, he suffered an extremely gruesome injury, and probably the most gruesome injury ever seen in the octagon. Really, it was worse than Anderson Silva's because the bone actually came through the skin. Bones, I'm gonna let you go ahead and give your analysis of this fight. What you thought about that one?
The Chris Weidman fight, man, Kevin, Brad
The Chris
Tavares,
Weidman fight?
yeah, Chris Weidman fight. I felt like Brad Tavares, he was tearing them legs up, and I loved it. To be honest with you, it was pretty. It was pretty gruesome the way he was doing it, you know. But at the same time, he got to provide for his family. He got to win himself. So, you know, he started out with the leg that wasn't injured, you know, the leg that he wasn't that didn't have surgery on, and then he eventually worked and he started kicking the other leg, and you could see Chris Weidman was in a lot of pain, and I respect him because I feel like any other person probably would have went out after that, but because you know at one point he kicked him, and Chris Weidman he just backed up and went against the cage, and he kind of like fell down, and you can tell he was in a lot of pain. But I feel like he had the mentality like no matter what, even if he lose the fight, he's not gonna get finished no matter what, you know. Like he wanted to go out on the shield. And he actually caught Tavares with a couple good shots too up against the cage. He kind of bit down on his mouthpiece and started throwing some haymakers. So you know I have earned a little bit more respect for him, but I did enjoy the way the fight went, and I felt like Tavares' game plan was beautiful. The way he was just chopping that leg, and you know, after the fight, Weidman was in the wheelchair; he couldn't even walk.
Yeah, I don't know. As far as this fight, it was kind of hard to watch at times, but at the same time, it was inspiring in a weird, I guess, twisted kind of way. Chris Weidman, when the fight first started, he looked old, he looked slow. You could see the ring rust. He was trying to hide that leg. I wanted to see if he was going to stay true to his word and come out and throw that kick. He did not. Hearing from him later, I mean, you can't hold it against him either. He said he was definitely. He said it wasn't until he got in there that it made him kind of nervous. He was hesitant with that leg. Tavares came out throwing quick, fast hands, 2-3 punch combinations. Nobody really did any body work in this fight. But so Chris Weidman started getting his good leg kicked to the point where he had to switch stances. In the second round, he came out and he really started trying to put pressure on Tavares, and Tavares really tore that leg up, so he had to switch stances and put that bad leg in front. And then Tavares started kicking that leg, and when he kicked that leg the first time, Chris Weidman said, "Oh, you gonna kick my leg? You gonna kick my leg?" And then he looked at him, and he was like, "Let's go." And he pointed at him in the face, and then he started going forward, throwing haymakers, and he just got aggressive. You saw the dog come out at him, and I love to see it. It was just such a primal moment. So after that, Chris Weidman started throwing teep kicks to the body. He had Brad Tavares up against the cage. He threw one teep kick where you can clearly see the ball of the toes into the solar plexus. Brad Tavares, and then after he did that, he strung that together with a takedown attempt. Now keep in mind, Chris Weidman is a wrestler. He tried to get the takedowns in the first round. He couldn't get them. Brad Tavares, excellent takedown defense. I think his takedown defense is at 80%, something like that. And so the one takedown Chris Weidman did get, Brad Tavares said he got kicked low, so they stopped it. They showed the replay. He definitely didn't get kicked low. So I'm curious to see. I feel like that had a major role in the way the fight played out. Also, I would like to add Brad Tavares got two of the cleanest nut shots I've ever seen in my life off of Chris Weidman. It looked like he was kicking field goals. So I mean, it's a lot of layers to the fight. It did get kind of hard to watch. I felt like the referee. What did you think about the referee not giving Chris Weidman that position back?
Well, first of all, I don't feel like you should say it was clearly not a nut shot because who are we to say? And like, even though the tip of his foot may have hit his midsection, the ball of his foot could have hit, like the top part of his region. You feel me? We can't say that for a fact because we're not in there. So I'm gonna say, hey, look,
but based off of the replay, it did not.
Okay, well, based off of Brad Tavares' fight history and him being the fighter, never have once seen any dirty thing from him. So I'm gonna go with his word. I'm gonna take him at his word, and I'm gonna say it was a nut shot. Granted, he did give two. He did give two of the nastiest, hardest nut shots. I ain't gonna lie about that, but I'm not gonna say that wasn't a nut shot. So
when you saw the replay.
When I saw the replay, it is questionable. I admit it is questionable, but I'm gonna go with
Hey, why you be doing that? Why do you like? It's like you don't let your bias call stuff straight down the middle. What's going on, man? I know you don't like Chris Weidman. We get it. You don't like the man. You're glad he lost. You wish his legs would have fell off. All that other kind of stuff. I get it, but you gotta call a spade, man.
No, it was an alleged. It was an alleged nut shot, man.
So out of everybody that watched that fight, you're the only one that feels the way you feel. Out of everybody I talked to, out of the commentators, out of the commission sitting on the side watching the replay, saying don't give him 5 minutes. That was clean. I mean, yeah, he probably got kicked in the body so hard. When you take one to the nuts, you feel it in your stomach. He probably got kicked in the body so hard that he thought it that like, oh man, that hurt. But man, that was definitely a clean shot. So I felt like the referee should have gave Chris Weidman that position back because he was fighting for a takedown through the whole first round. I ain't gonna say through the whole first round, but he had like 3 or 4, I would say 3 takedown attempts in the first round. That was his first attempt in the second round, and at that point, the legs were so beat up he couldn't put no drive into it. So the way what he had to go through to even get it to that point by kicking with the injured leg and then trying to like come right in behind it with the double leg and actually getting it, it made me feel like he was kind of shorted on in that situation. And one thing I will say too, it's so enjoyable hearing Ray Longo and Matt Serra in the corner. Because they call it straight and they don't hold no punches and they gonna call it straight like it is. If they need to get in your ass, they're gonna get in your ass.
Yeah, they are my favorite cornerman by far. Because they keep it real. They're not gonna sit there and tell their fighter, "Oh, you up 2 rounds, you got it." Da 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 da. I don't like when people do that.
After the first round, they say, "All right, now the filling out process is over. All the ring rust is gone. Like, go out there and get in this face." And they was pretty much willing them on. And they don't try too hard to be seen. Like if Ray Longo says something, and Matt Serra agrees with him, and that's what he was gonna say, he's not gonna try to add on to it. He's gonna say, "Listen to Ray." You get what I'm saying? And just reinforce what he just heard. But overall, you think Chris Weidman should retire?
I think he should, but he's not. So he'll go and fight again and get that leg tore up some more again.
Dana said he want him to retire.
Listen, any fighter that's fighting against Chris Weidman and you don't attack that leg, then what are you doing?
And hey, to answer the question that I asked you earlier, I posed the question: who would you like to see Gregory Rodriguez up against next? I feel like they should match him up against Brad Tavares.
Or yeah, that'd be a good one. Or Andre Muniz, he ranked number 15.
That'll work too. But I just feel like Brad Tavares is kind of like that gatekeeper, and
Yeah.
he's been in there with the best, and he's hard to take down. So he's being that Gregory Rodriguez trying to implement takedowns now. I would like to see how that play out.
You could put that as a co-main event for a fight night, or put it on the main card of a pay-per-view. Either way.
We need to holler at Dana, Sean, and Mick and just tell them to let us be matchmakers, man.
Yeah, I know, right? For real.
And have you gone on the website and created a fight card? You know they're doing that matchmaker for a day thing.
Nah, I heard about it, but nah, I should. I do it on the UFC.
Yeah,
game.
you should. Yeah, I put one together. I don't remember what it was, but I'm gonna go to my email and I'm gonna send it to you and tell me what you think on that.
All right.
But yeah, so that concluded the prelims, and then we stepped into the pay-per-view portion of the main card with a huge fight at bantamweight. Had a lot riding on this fight, both fighters. We had Marlon Chito Vera versus the young Punisher, Pedro Munoz. What'd you think about this fight?
Marlon Chito Vera, top 5 favorite fighter, current fighter right now. The thing about Chito, we both talked about it on the preview show, is sometimes he starts slow, and obviously that's not good. And Pedro Munoz, I feel like he underrated, man, because he brings it. Like, no matter what, whether win, lose, draw, he's gonna bring it, and you're gonna get hit, and you're gonna have you're gonna take some damage definitely. I feel like when the fight first started, Munoz, I would say for like the first maybe 2 or 3 minutes even, he was kind of getting Marlon Vera. Maybe towards the end of the first round or like, beginning of the second round, Marlon started utilizing his jab. And that was so key for this fight because of his range. He was utilizing that jab and just popping his head back. And you would see Munoz, he would just come in and you just see his head snap back, 1, 2, 3. He'd come in again, his head snap back, 1, 2, 3, and it was just it was wearing on him. So I feel like he started finding that in the second round and then utilized it. And in the third round, he was just implementing it like a whole lot. And he was just tagging him with the jab. And, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So he just kept utilizing it. And I feel like that's how he was able to pull away and win the fight because of using his range.
Yeah, Pedro Munoz definitely is underrated. This was a very highly contested fight. 2 top 10 fighters in the bantamweight division. Pedro been on top for a while. Chito Vera feel like coming into his prime. And Pedro Munoz is definitely unfinishable. I feel like he tried a couple of times to turn it into a brawl. This was the most calculated and consistent throughout all rounds of a fight. Usually Chito fight in 5 rounds, but this was the most consistent I've seen him, like, as far as steady pace throughout a whole fight, and I feel like that definitely served him well. He that jab was a really major issue for Pedro Munoz, and it wasn't like one of those. It wasn't just like a rangefinder, or it wasn't just a strike. It was a significant jab. It was like a power jab.
Yeah.
He definitely was putting power behind that jab. I felt bad for both guys' legs because, as we both know, Pedro Munoz loves to implement leg kick. Chito does as well, but every time Pedro threw a leg kick, for the most part, Chito checked it. And I can't count how many times I saw those guys collide shin to shin. So that had to be rough. That had to be rough. But I was happy Chito got the win. I felt like the right guy won it. Again, this was one of those fights where it was a unanimous decision, but I felt like Pedro Munoz got a strong case for round 1 or 2. I don't remember which one. Maybe it was 2. But I will say Marlon Vera hurt him with the jab in the 3rd round. and I thought he was gonna go for the kill, but I'm glad he didn't because usually when you see Pedro Munoz get hurt, that's when he's the most dangerous.
Yep.
So I'm glad Marlon stayed within himself, and I know he's a knockout artist. Got the most knockouts in bantamweight history, so it was good to see him stay disciplined and stick to his game plan.
We'll talk about who Marlon Vera should fight next more because I think he should fight the winner of the main event. As far as Pedro Munoz, I got two good fights for him. Either Rob Font, who's coming off a loss, or Adrian Yanez, who's also coming off a loss. Both of those guys are both of those guys are real good strikers. And Adrian Yanez, who actually got knocked out by Rob Font, and you was there, bro. You seen it in Miami. I still can't believe he got knocked out by Rob Font, man. I don't know what happened, and I'm ready for him to get back on the horse and get some momentum going. So I feel like him and Pedro Munoz will be a good fight, or you can do Munoz versus Rob Font. Either way.
If you want to give a fan something to salivate about and make a potential fight of the year, you put him against Adrian Yanez. That would be a banger. Oh man, but it's possible that Munoz might knock him out. I still can't see Munoz getting finished. I'm interested to see how Yanez bounced back from that loss that he took. I wonder if it's gonna make him stronger or if he's gonna be on a decline. I feel like it'll make him stronger. I just hope he change up his game a little bit and be more defensively responsible.
I'm still on the Yanez bandwagon, so I don't think he's gonna lose his next couple fights.
Also, too, what I would like to say is you see a lot of these fights that were I feel like I'm nitpicking. A lot of unanimous decisions that I felt like there's no way this guy won all 3 rounds, but the right person still won. So I felt like the judges were flirting with disaster. We didn't see any fight go to the wrong person as far as I'm concerned. The right guys won all fights that went by decision, but it was a kind of scary thing to see because you were like me personally. I was just waiting, like, dang, like somebody's probably gonna get robbed tonight because the judging didn't really seem accurate according to the way the fights were playing out.
Yeah.
So about number 2 in the card stacked with bantamweight fight, we had Damon the Monster Blackshear versus Sean O'Malley's training partner Mario Batista. What do you think about this fight?
Mario Batista is the hot prospect. He was supposed to fight Cody Garbrandt, and a lot of people expected him to win that fight, so that was supposed to be his coming out party. So being that Cody Garbrandt, stepped out. Which, by the way, I just listened to an interview with him and Michael Bisping recently. I heard it. Yeah, it's a pretty good interview. If anybody who's a Cody Garbrandt fan can check it out. But Batista, I feel like by Cody Garbrandt stepping out of this fight and being replaced by Blackshear, he was kind of, it was like a bit of a letdown for him, to be honest with you. Blackshear, he had a twister victory the week before, and he built like a tank basically. Throughout this fight, he was trying to utilize his clinch work and get some takedowns and everything like that. It wasn't really working. Not really much to say about this fight. The right guy won. I'm interested to see where he's gonna go from here because I know they're trying to build him up. So, and shout out to Blackshear, man, for having to cut weight like that and all that kind of stuff. He definitely gonna be in the UFC good graces for taking this fight. And he didn't get starched, nothing like that. It was competitive, but at the same time, like we all knew who won the fight, but it wasn't like he got dominated,
Yeah, I feel like Blackshear came out and won the first round, and it was downhill from there. I feel like he got gassed a little bit, so I do wonder how much that weight cut had an effect on his performance. But I would say that this was the most uneventful fight on the card, but you can't really blame these guys because, like you said, which I didn't even think about, had to be a mental letdown to be fighting a name like Cody Garbrandt, and now you're fighting a relatively unknown guy in Damon Blackshear. And for Blackshear taking the fight on 7 days' notice, he just cut weight last week, and now you had to cut weight again, step up and fight Mario Batista. It was a opportunity of a lifetime for him. He came up short. This fight was a lot of clinch work, and I feel like that's what gassed out Blackshear. I did get to see some of his striking, and it's not that bad. I feel like that's definitely the weakest part of his game, but I wouldn't call it a weakness per se.
Yeah. I'm interested to see
So
what both fighters go from here because Blackshear he got potential, and obviously Batista is a hot prospect. So we'll see.
moving right along, we had a welterweight bout between Neil Magny, guy who holds the most wins in the welterweight division, surpassing GSP, versus Ian Machado Gary.
Man. Oh man. I only seen Neil Magny to my recollection. I know he got KO'd by I believe the Leech. I think KO'd him, and Ponzinibbio KO'd him.
And that's
But
it.
yeah. So not counting the KOs, I only see him just like throughout the fight get dominated one other time, and that was by RDA Rafael dos Anjos. I believe that's when he first moved up to the division, and he submitted him in an arm triangle, and he just straight up dominated him. But that was years and years and years ago. I picked Ian Gary to win, fellow Irish guy. But even though I expected him to win, I didn't expect for him to just straight up dominate Neil Magny the way he did. And not only did he dominate Neil Magny, he embarrassed Neil Magny. Like he kicked him and Neil Magny fell, and he just taunted him to get up, and the way he taunted him and just beat him up. And after the fight, he was still talking trash to him. There was a lot of personal heat going into this fight. And this is another fight too. Even though Ian Machado Gary, he was supposed to fight. His original opponent was Jeff Neal, and fighting Neil Magny, it's not a letdown from Jeff Neal because Neil Magny, as my brother stated, has the most wins in the welterweight division. So it's a good feather in his cap. But yeah, Ian Gary, I feel like he is going to be the next big Irish talent, and I'm behind his hype dream as well.
Yeah, as far as Neil Magny goes, he took a calf kick in the very beginning of the first round, and it dropped him. He got back up. He got dropped 3 times by the first 3 calf kicks that he took. That calf was completely destroyed throughout the fight. Ian Gary taunted him the whole time. At one point, Ian Gary had him up against the cage. I didn't like how he was hooking his arm over the cage, but I don't really think that made a difference in the fight. Neil Magny's one of those guys that it's possible to beat him, but it's damn near impossible to look great while you're doing it. And Ian Machado Gary looked very good while he defeated Neil Magny. He was in Neil Magny's head. He was disrespecting him the whole time. And even after the fight, he continued to disrespect him. It was pretty much a one-sided beatdown. I felt like he could have got him out of there. I don't know if he wanted to. I think he just wanted to punish him.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
But I felt like he could have got him out of there. But either way, he got 3 rounds of experience. I do believe this was his first decision. Am I correct on that?
Second, I believe.
So he's definitely a finisher. It shows he has the capability to finish guys, but it honestly just looked like he didn't want to. And there was a couple of times where I felt like Neil Magny wasn't going to get back up after he got knocked down. But he did. It was just a leg kick heavy attack. He kind of sniped him with a few 1-2s. Neil he could barely walk midway through the second round. So shout out to him for toughing it out. I am behind the Ian Gary hype train, but it's kind of hard to see how you're gonna book him next because he won't fight Gilbert because they're training partners. He won't fight Shavkat because they're training partners. He called out Wonder Boy, but Wonder Boy, they said he turned that fight down. I don't know if it's because he doesn't want to I think they wanted him for a quick turnaround in November, and you got to keep in mind one of the boys in his 40s now. He just cut weight, so I don't think he wanted a quick turnaround. I don't know if he turned it down because of that, but
No,
I definitely don't feel like he's afraid to fight Ian Gary because he's trying to fight Kamaru Usman, so
exactly. And
which is I feel like a worse matchup for him.
but look, all right, Stephen Thompson, the Wonder Boy, he's number 7. And I don't know if the rankings are updated or not. I'm assuming they are, but Machado is number 11. So Stephen Thompson, he's not trying to fight down. He clearly said that, so that's why he's not trying to fight him.
And I wouldn't even just say he's not trying to fight down because I feel like at the end of the day, if you're trying to chase the belt, and you're gonna have to fight these guys because eventually they're gonna come up anyway. You get what I'm saying? So, but
Yeah,
the way
but
I see it, he's fought down his last 3 fights. So I feel like
yeah,
that's why he has a problem with it.
yeah, but realistically, Wonder Boy only got a couple more fights left, maybe. So every fight is a big fight, and he need to like get a fast track towards the belt. Kamaru Usman is the number 1 ranked fighter. So if he does beat him, he feel like he'll get a shot at the belt, or maybe the UFC brass told him that behind closed doors. I don't know, but yeah, I feel like that'd be a good matchup. But I don't think it's gonna happen like you said because I don't think Wonderboy gonna fight him. So he should fight his original opponent because he's ranked number 11, and Jeff Neal is ranked number 8. So just give us that fight.
Yeah, but I don't know how soon Jeff Neal is going to be able to be active because he's dealing with some health stuff right now again. So I feel like right now I can't see them booking Jeff Neal anytime soon. But I do know they want Ian Gary to fight in November at Madison Square Garden. So it would be interesting if they put him up against Kevin Holland or JDM. But we'll touch on that later why that's probably not possible.
All right.
Maybe a Ponzinibbio, I don't know.
Ponzinibbio, you can do Vicente Luque maybe.
That's actually a good one right there. There you go.
And you see the thing is, even though Vicente, I would consider him to be a knockout artist, even though he's good on the ground too. Vicente is going to try to wrestle him. I feel like so that'd be good for Ian Gary.
Yeah, he gonna have to fight those wrestlers eventually.
Yep.
So up next in our co-main event of the evening, we have the women's strawweight title fight with Magnum Zhang Weili versus Amanda Lemos.
I did say in the preview show that Lemos had no chance of surviving all 5 rounds. I do apologize and I take that back because she did survive. But Weili, she kind of she took
Barely.
Weili took control of the fight. The way she was able to take Lemos down, she'll get in, then just use her transitions and everything like that. She controlled the ground. In the 5th round, she dropped her. I believe it was with a hook, if I'm not mistaken. And I thought that was it right there. I thought she was just going to finish her right there. But Lemos trying to get in there. But, yeah, man, she just beat her up for all 5 rounds. I'm really, really, really interested to see what they're going to put her up against next because there's only 2 people who she should fight next. Either Tatiana Suarez or Young Xiaonan. That's it. So I'm just interested to see where they're going to go her next. I'm a big fan of her, obviously, and I think she's going to hold that belt for a while. Even if she do fight Tatiana Suarez. Suarez ain't going to be able to take her down the way she's been taking down these other females. And so Robert in the chat, what's up, Robert? But, yeah, Tatiana Suarez is going to be able to take her down and submit her the way she do other females and stuff like that. So that's all I got.
What's going on, Robert? Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. Oh, man. This was one-way traffic the whole way through. It was extremely impressive. I expected Weili to win. It amazes me the way she's constantly evolving and constantly improving her game. Early in the 1st round, she was on top, And you know what was crazy to me too? The size difference. I didn't realize that Amanda Lemos was that much bigger than her.
Yeah.
But she Wei Lee took her down in the first round. Amanda Lemos threw up a Hail Mary and almost got a Darce, and that Darce was
Yeah.
pretty tight.
Yeah.
And for that one moment, I'm like, oh my God, she's about to shock the world right now. But Wei Lee managed to get over into side control and get out of the Darce, and it was smooth sailing from there. What impressed me the most is like the question isn't who won the fight; it's more so how many 10-8s were there. You get what I'm saying? Because this was just a domination. Aside from that one moment in the fight, total strike. She broke a new record for the biggest strike differential in a championship fight. Broke Valentina Shevchenko's record. Listen to this. Total strike. Zhang Weili, 296 versus Amanda Lemos, just 29.
Oof.
And that 296 total strikes landed. She landed 83% of her strike versus Amanda Lemos only landing 43%. So that just shows you the domination. And I think the scorecards were very lopsided. Well, I know they were very lopsided, but I think some of those scores were like 42 to 50. It was insane. Amanda Lemos, she hung in there for the whole 5 rounds. It was at least 3 times in the fight that I thought she was about to get finished. Especially with the ground and pound. Wei Lee is just so fast and she's strong and she's implemented the wrestling into her game now. I feel like the most competitive fight I see for her is Tatiana Suarez. But I do feel like if they're going to try to make this happen in China, they're going to go ahead and give her Yan Xiaonan in China. And I feel like Suarez will probably have to fight one more fight and then get a title shot. But that's the most competitive person. I think that's the most competitive fight they can make, her and Suarez.
Yeah, I agree. Suarez, man, she's just a beast, and I feel like if they were to make that fight, Suarez would be the favorite.
I don't know. I don't think they'll put anybody as favorite over Wei Lee right now. Unless she
I'm
was
not
fighting
gonna put
Rose
nobody.
again, but I don't want to see that.
Yeah, I wouldn't put nobody over her, but yeah, I think the Masters would though.
Okay, so that was pretty much that. That went how we thought it was gonna go. And then we moved on to the main event of the evening. By the way, Zhang Weili did get a performance of the night. She got a performance bonus for that, so that was the extra 50 G's in her pocket. Moving into the bantamweight title fight, we have the champion, the Funk Master, Aljamain Sterling, defending his title against Sugar Sean O'Malley.
Oh man, oh yeah, this was a tough fight for me, man. I didn't
What
realize
happened
so
to your
much of
voice?
I didn't realize how much of an Aljo fan I was until after this. Um, so basically, he came out to the ring and everything like that, and we all, even DC said it, that O'Malley looked a little nervous, and even during the weigh-ins, my brother texted me that night, and he said, "Damn, O'Malley looked a little nervous. I don't know, and even walking into the octagon, he didn't look as confident as he usually does. In hindsight, he said he had like a little rib injury, so that's probably what it was. But in the first round, I think Aljo, he got him up against the cage. I don't know if it's considered a takedown, but he got him down, and O'Malley was able to kind of creep back up. And Aljo, he just kind of, I guess he couldn't find his range, or he couldn't really get in to get the takedown, or I'm not really sure what the issue was, but I just know, in the first round came and went, and not too much happened. Um, and then I remember when he went to the corner, he asked Ray Longo and Sarah. He was like, "Well, did I win?" And I just kind of I didn't like that in itself because it's only after one round. Like wait till after round 2 and 3, and I don't know. But I gave him the first round, um, and then in the second round, they came out and he was at range, and I guess he lunged in to throw a punch, and he just left himself open, and O'Malley just stepped back a little bit and caught him with a nasty right hook, to the face, and just dropped him. And the way Aljo folded, it's never a good look because he face planted. In MMA, you never want to see the face plants. And then when he face planted, the crowd just erupted. And then O'Malley got on top and started hitting him with some ground and pound. And I was yelling for Aljo to get back up. He didn't hear me, obviously. He rolled over. He rolled over after getting a couple ground and pound shots. He rolled over and was kind of like on all fours, kind of. And then took maybe 2 or 3 more shots. I will say though, when he was on the ground and O'Malley lunged down with that punch and caught him clean, you seen instantly how it cut him, and that was a devastating blow right there too. Although Aljo didn't protest the stoppage, I'm going to protest the stoppage because you could have let him go a little bit longer. Granted, the same result probably would have happened anyway, and he probably would have got flattened out, which I really don't want to see. But I feel like the ref should have let that go a little bit longer. I take nothing away from Sean O'Malley. I'm not going to be a hater. I'm going to be a fan of him. But coincidentally, he's going to have to fight Cheeto Vera next, and I'm a Cheeto fan, so I ain't rooting for O'Malley in that one either. He says he's undefeated, and for those of you who don't know, do not listen to his claims because he is not undefeated. He has 1 loss in his record, and that is to Cheeto Vera. And it wasn't because he got injured; it's because Cheeto tore that leg up and then ground him, pounded him out, and the referee saved him and stopped the fight. So he has been defeated before by Cheeto Vera, and if they fight again, it will be the same result. I respect him a lot because Cheeto is his nemesis, and he called him out after the fight. He wanted to fight Cheeto in December, but conspiracy theorists here, the reason why he wanted to fight Cheeto is because he don't want that wrestling pressure from the Georgian Marab Dwashvili, and ironically, I don't think the UFC wants Marab to be champion because he's from Aljo camp and he's not quote unquote an exciting fighter, as they would call it. And before I get done and pass it to you, bro, I want to say what's up to Chris. And he said that Wei Lee dominated the whole fight. What she did, it's all you.
Yeah, a lot to unpack in this main event. I was definitely rooting for Aljo. Before this fight started, they had me out of my seat. It's kind of crazy, the walkout songs. Because the backstory behind this fight, Aljamain Sterling, everybody was saying, who has Sean O'Malley fought? He hasn't fought any of the top 10 guys. At one point, he was saying that he didn't get paid enough to fight top 10 guys. Meanwhile, Aljo was on a 9-fight win streak. Me and Chris got into this argument yesterday about Aljo being the best bantamweight champion in UFC history. I mean, you can put Dominic Cruz up there with him, but I feel like we call Stipe Miocic the best heavyweight in UFC history because he defended the belt more than anybody has, right? He has the most title defenses, so we call him the GOAT of heavyweight. Aljamain Sterling defended the belt. That would have been his 4th defense, so he's tied with Dominic Cruz on that one. So it's like they have to be the 2 best bantamweight, and if we're gonna treat it the same, and the UFC does not like Aljamain Sterling for whatever reason. Aljamain Sterling been through a murderer's row. I think a lot of people don't like Aljo because of the way he won the belt, but that's not his fault. You can't hold it against him because somebody else threw an illegal knee. And when he had the rematch, he pretty much dominated it. He actually should have got 2 10-8 rounds, and in the 3rd round, he won 10-9. And in the fourth and fifth round, I feel like he took off. So that should have been an easy fight to score. I don't see how it was a split, but whatever. So Peter Yan was the only top guy that Sean O'Malley had defeated, and that was a split. So coming into this fight, he was definitely a huge underdog. But the masses, like, I feel like a lot of people who don't really watch the sport make their picks based off of popularity. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So because he was the more popular fighter, everybody thought he was going to win. But I digress. Either way, when his walkout song was the Superstar by Lupe Fiasco, I thought that was pretty cool. If you are who you say you are, it kind of fit him. And then Aljo came out to I Love by Jordan Lucas. They met in the middle of the octagon before the referee even brought them to the middle, and they just had a very intense stare down. And it just got me so psyched for the fight. It was definitely intense. The atmosphere in the house was crazy, so I could just imagine what it was like actually in the audience. Aljo looked super confident. I feel like he kind of underestimated Sean O'Malley a little bit. But one thing I do want to point out is before the fight started, you see Sean O'Malley in the octagon practicing that step back counter right hand.
Yeah.
He was actually practicing that shot, the same shot that he ended the fight with. And it was, now I'm going to say something. And when I say it, I need you to maintain your composure. All right?
Go ahead, say. I already know what you're gonna say. I already know what you're gonna say.
Look at, hey, composure. Composure, you're getting excited already. The way he dropped him with that step. First of all, Aljamain Sterling, I feel like he did win the first round. The first round, both guys were just fainting, and nobody really wanted to make the mistake. Aljo landed some leg kicks, and he attempted like 2 takedowns. I don't think that one that he got him down for a split second, I don't think that really counted as a takedown because I don't think his butt touched the canvas. In between rounds, he did ask who won that round. I didn't have a problem with it because I feel like it was an extremely hard round to score because it wasn't much action, but I do feel like Aljo did the most in that round, and the judges all 3 judges had him winning the first round. The second round, I feel like he lunged in. Him and Merab both do this thing where they throw an overhand and they go into a takedown from that overhand into a double leg. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
So that's what he was trying to do, but I feel like he shot out from too far away. And it was not a lucky punch or nothing like that. It was straight skill. Sean O'Malley stepped back, hit him with the counter right, pinpoint accuracy. Aljo face planted. He came in with a couple of extra shots, ground and pound, hammer fist. He didn't go down to the ground with him, which I was hoping he would, but he was smarter than that. Aljo turned over on all fours to try to get up, and that's when the referee stopped it. He didn't protest it because I feel like he just lost with too much class. Like he was too classy to do so. You get what I'm saying? He didn't want to make any excuses. But that counter, that step back counter right, was very reminiscent of your boy Conor McGregor against Jose Aldo. And
Yeah,
I thought it was pretty cool how the broadcast composure. I thought it was pretty cool how the broadcast team was all over that. I would have liked Aljo to get a little bit more time to try to recover. It looked like he was getting up. I would have liked to see him. The referee probably let him take 1 or 2 more. But at the end of the day, I mean, I don't have a problem with watching that fight and saying, yeah, Sean O'Malley won. You go he did that. So it is what it is. The politics of the UFC definitely finna come in hand. I heard that 5 minutes after the main event, the whole fight was on YouTube.
Yeah, I was
because they're really trying to push. They're really trying to push Sean O'Malley. They don't want to give Aljamain Sterling a rematch. I don't want to see him get a rematch. I would rather see him move up and wait. and let Marab have that division. But my like, if you go by meritocracy, I feel like he definitely deserves one because of the streak he was on and the defenses that he has under his belt. Anybody else would get one if the role was reversed and O'Malley was the champ, and with the resume that Aljo has, and Aljo took the belt from him, O'Malley would get a rematch, no doubt.
Yep.
I feel like O'Malley doesn't want to do that again. He called out Cheeto, I feel like, for one, because that's a big money fight, and I feel like he lets it be known that this is a business. He's in it to make money. Number two, I do kind of feel like he's sidestepping Marab, even though I don't know if Marab is ready because of the hand surgery he had. I feel like it was long enough ago to where they told him, hey, title shot in December. I have no doubt that he will sign up for that fight. But Sean O'Malley, like you said, him versus Marlon Vera is going to be fun. I don't think Sean O'Malley is the same fighter he was when he fought Tito the first time. I would be. I mean, I'm down for that fight. Like, I'll be there. I'll watch that. That should be a good one. But I feel like the winner should either fight Corey Sandhagen or Merab Dvalishvili. This is one of those divisions that is so stacked that I don't see anybody holding that belt for a long time. And I feel like as time goes on, we're going to look back at Aljamain Sterling's title run and really realize how special it was.
Yeah, to my brother's point, the UFC and UFC history never have they uploaded an entire fight the very next day of a main event card, of a main event pay-per-view. So this is the first time in their 30-year history that they uploaded the entire fight. Usually they'll show you like a clip or they'll show you like pictures or something like that. No, they put the entire fight on YouTube for the whole world to see. It's the first time ever in their 30-year history that they did that. So that's just an example of how much that they're behind Sean O'Malley. You know, I hate to say
and how
this.
about? No, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I hate to say this, but I don't think Aljamain Sterling would ever get another title shot again because the UFC will try to keep him down. He said himself that he don't know about moving up because he said that if Sean O'Malley can do this to me, imagine what Volkanovski can do. And in hindsight, I don't like that he said that because he just kind of like putting doubt out there a lot. If you do those, if you do techniques properly and not lunging like that, then you wouldn't get caught because I can guarantee you, Cheeto would have caught him. Cheeto would have stopped him too. If Pedro Munoz would have caught him, he probably would have stopped him too because it was just the type of shot that he did and when he lunged. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think it was just that. I think it was also who he was against. Sean O'Malley has exceptional footwork, so
accuracy
I don't
too.
necessarily. Yeah, I don't necessarily think because that's something that he does. But I feel like that was just the wrong person to do it against. I do feel as though O'Malley. I mean, yeah, he's a sniper. That was just the wrong thing to do against the wrong person. But I feel like O'Malley did a better job of sticking to his game plan because if both guys would have stuck to their game plan, that fight was going to play out how the first round did, and it would have been a boring fight. And I heard Aljo say himself, he didn't want to have a title fight like Izzy versus Yoel. And so he decided to push the pace and make something happen. But if he would have just fought every round like he fought that first round, yeah, it probably would have been a snooze fest, but he would still have his belt. And at the end of the day, it shows a lot that he cares about the way we enjoy the fight. Like he's trying to entertain, considering that everybody's screaming "F you, Aljo, F you, Aljo," and so I don't know. I just feel like he's very underappreciated, and he's brutally honest. Sometimes honest to a fault. Because to touch on what you said, I agree with you 100%. I feel like that's something he shouldn't have said out in public like that. But he was just being honest.
Hey, but that's also to my point too. You should never interview a KO fighter, man. Like right after he got KO'd. You should never do that. And also, as much praise as I gave y'all Boston crowd, y'all Bostonians earlier, I'm taking it all back because of the way y'all boo Aljo and send F you Aljo and stuff like that. Man, you got to show the man some respect, and you know he's literally one of the greatest bantamweight champions ever. If not the best, he's the second best. If you want to see Dominic Cruz, but they did applaud him a little bit after the fight because of how humbled he was, you know. So maybe he might gain some fans back, you know. But I don't know.
And I'll just end on this note. A true champion is all right. It's not about how you win. A true champion knows how to lose as well. You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
And I feel like he handled that loss like a champion.
Yeah, I agree. I actually earned more respect from him after this fight than I had before.
So and that pretty much wrapped up UFC 292. Any last thoughts on the card overall?
No, I mean, even though I was completely disappointed and heartbroken the way the main event ended, that's to take nothing away from O'Malley. You know, this won't be a situation like a Dustin Poirier, Conor McGregor, you know, where I'm not gonna like him because of he knocked him out. You know, I'm gonna still be an O'Malley fan, but either way, if he fight Cheeto or Marab next, I'm root, you know, against the other person because I'm more of a fan of both of those fighters.
So why you
know,
can't be a
Marab,
Dustin Poirier fan still?
because that's a whole other story. Let's not get into that.
I know,
But
but we just got into it. What's going on?
because it's Conor McGregor, and I just didn't like the way it happened. You know, it's different. You know, it's a different story. But you know, shout out to Sean O'Malley. I take nothing away from him. I'm interested to see how long he can keep that belt.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like let me ask you this: how long do you think it'll be before we see somebody defend it as many times as Aljo did?
It's
Which,
gonna be a
by the
while.
way, I say as many times. Like he defended it 3 times. I know a lot of people might think that's nothing, but look at everybody else. See that he tied a record by defending it 3 times shows you that number one, when you're in the UFC and you have a belt, you're fighting the best of the best. There's no dodging, no ducking, no getting away from anybody. You're gonna have to see these guys when they get to the top. And number two, it shows that that division is just stacked full of killers. Like it's just no bad fighter. I mean, like you're in the UFC, so you're not a bad fighter, but you get what I'm trying to say. That division is murderous rough.
Look, number one is Aljo. Number two is Marab. Number three is Henry Cejudo. Number four is Sanhagen. Number five is Peter Yan, and that's just the top five right there. You know, number six is
Yeah, that's
Marlon.
insane.
Yeah, number six is Marlon Vera. Number seven is Song Yudong. Number eight, Rob Font. Number nine, Dominic Cruz, and number 10, Pedro Munoz.
Yeah, see, that's insane.
So, I mean, it ain't no easy fight in the top 10 at all.
Nah, nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. And that pretty much concludes UFC 292. There is a card tomorrow morning in Singapore. Card starts at 8 a.m. We do have Max Bless Holloway versus the Korean Zombie Chan Sung Jung. Any fights on the card tomorrow that you're looking forward to? Like if you could pick 2 or 3 fights off of that card tomorrow, what are the 2 or 3 that you feel like you're excited to see the most?
Hey, I want to address Chris real quick. He said definitely one of the biggest bantamweight fights of all time. I'm assuming he's talking about O'Malley and Cheeto Vera, or he talking about the fight that just happened. But to answer your question, yeah, it's a couple fights I'm looking forward to, man. I'm looking forward to Junior Tafa. His brother Justin Tafa fights in the UFC. He's going against Parker Porter. Parker Porter fought the older brother and got knocked out. So I would like to see him get knocked out by the younger brother. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Parker Porter came in in really good shape his last fight.
Yeah, I know.
He slimmed down a lot.
I'm a fan of him. I would just like to see the brothers knock out like one fighter. You know, that'd be pretty cool. But Also, Aaron Blanchfield versus Talia Santos. That's my fight
That
right
one
there.
tickles my fancy. I like that one a lot. That's the one I'm looking forward to the most. Number 3 versus number 4. Believe it or not, Aaron Blanchfield is the 3, while Talia is the 4. Even though her fight with Shevchenko really put her on the map, so a lot of people thought that she won that fight. I'm interested to see if that fight goes to the ground, how it plays out. I feel like on the feet, Talia has the edge in striking.
Yeah.
How you think that's gonna play out?
Man, I got Aaron Blanchfield winning that fight. I'm on her hype train. I feel like she got potential to be the next champion. So, yeah, I think she's gonna win that fight.
Well, this will tell you exactly who she is. It's one of those fights that I have a lot of questions answered.
Yeah.
If you look at the main card for tomorrow, a lot of numbers by these names, man. You got number 9, Giga Chikadze versus Bruce Leroy, Alex Caceres. He won 7 of his last 8. That should be interesting. And Giga hasn't fought in a while since the dominant
Beat down.
annihilation that he suffered from Calvin Cater. You got Ryan Spann versus Anthony Smith. Number 8 versus number 10. What you gonna say?
No, it's a lot of heat on the Anthony Smith and Ryan Spann fight because I don't know if you remember, but last time when they fought, it was a whole lot of trash talk. And
Yeah.
Anthony Smith, I believe Anthony Smith was coming off a loss to Ankalaev where he got his leg tore up. So his fight after that, people was doubting him. He fought against Ryan Spann, and he submitted Ryan Spann. And after he submitted him, he stood over him and just made him look terrible.
Yeah, because he said, "You know my name yet?" Because Ryan Spann was saying, "Well, I don't even know this guy's name."
Yeah.
And then in the main event, man, it's Chan Sung Jung, the Korean Zombie. It's his last fight. Going against Max Holloway. Max Holloway, the second greatest featherweight aside from Volkanovski. I see this being a one-sided beatdown. I feel like Chan Sung Jung may have his moments because Max does get hit, but I don't really see him. I feel like it's going to be a sinking ship because Holloway going to bring the volume, he going to bring the pressure, and I feel like eventually Zombie going to get overwhelmed. And I feel like Max is trying to do it as good as, if not better than, Volkanovski did it to him, which is going to be hard to do. But that's pretty much that, how I see it.
Hey, Chris said that's a great matchup with Santos and Blanchfield. And if y'all want to be technical, the card technically starts at 5 a.m. For those of y'all who want to catch those early prelims. Main card goes off at 8 a.m. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. I'm gonna set my alarm to get me up at like 7:30 or something, so I can be up.
Oh wow, I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, yeah, 5 a.m.
I guess it's time for me. I guess it's time for me to go to bed.
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
Either I'm gonna go to bed early, I ain't getting no sleep tonight. One or the other.
I got Giga Chikadze beating Bruce Leroy. I want Bruce Leroy to win. I got Anthony Smith beating Ryan Spann, even though I got Anthony Smith beating Ryan Spann. And I got Holloway destroying Chan Sung Jung.
All right, I don't want to really break down this fight right here, but I just want to point out to you that Chidi Njokuani is on this card. He's fighting Michael Olashechik. And also, I don't know if you remember her, but remember Na Leon? She kind of looked like the Fireball Kid. Remember who was at the fights in Jacksonville? She was on the prelims.
Yeah.
Yeah, she returned against JJ Aldrich, who completely fell off.
Yeah, she did. Yeah,
so that's pretty much that. We got a few fight announcements that we would like to get into before we go ahead and end the show. Which one of these you want to talk about? Let's just throw like 2 or 3 out there real quick.
Let's start off with Rose versus Farah.
All right, Rose Namajunas versus Manon Fiorot. Rose actually stepping up, moving up a weight class to the 125 division. And she's moving up to fight somebody in the top 5, Manon Fiorot, who's been off for a while. I believe that's in Paris, right? That's on the Paris card.
I think so, yeah.
How you see that playing out?
I mean, if I had to choose, I would say Rose. I don't know how she's gonna win, but I would have to pick her to win. She's taking a lot of time off. She hasn't fought since the Carla Esparza fight, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so she took a lot of time off, and that's bad news for her opponent because Rose, she always had the talent and the physical capabilities, but she's a mental fighter. You know, sometimes she get in her head. So being that she took time off, I feel like she's going to come back, refocus, regroup, and she's going to look to do some damage.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that fight. I feel like if she wins that fight, she's automatically thrusted into the title picture for the strawweight division. And that kind of like goes back to it's a lot of good matchups in that division for her in that weight class because you got Blanchfield, you got Santos, you got the championship fight coming up with Grasso and Shevchenko. But
Yeah.
I feel like Rose should definitely implement her grappling in that fight. And I feel like that would be her easiest path to victory.
I agree.
What else you got for me?
Oh, man. I got a banger. I got Kevin Big Mouth Holland versus your boy Jack 3 Dame Della Maddalena.
Jack Della Maddalena versus Kevin Trailblazer Holland. Oh boy, I don't really want to see those two fight each other because I'm a big fan of both. When Jack Della Maddalena first burst on the scene, I called it. I've said it on this show at least twice, if not 3 times, that Jack Della Maddalena is a future champion. But I don't see him getting past Kevin Holland. I feel like they starting to throw him to the wolves now. He was scheduled to fight. Who just fought RDA? He was scheduled to fight Vicente Luque. That was going to be his biggest challenge. And then Luque had to pull out of that fight. His last fight, I forgot who he was supposed to fight, but he ended up fighting like a week later. And I feel like he had 2 opponent changes.
He was supposed to fight Sean Brady.
Sean Brady, there you go. And I was going to test his ground game. Kevin Holland might test it, but I'm pretty sure he's going to stand up with him. I see Kevin Holland getting that dub, man. And I won't be too upset about it. It's one of those fights I root for both guys. I'm going to just have to sit back and watch this one and be entertained.
What card is that on?
That's on Noche.
Nice. So isn't that a fight night?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Guys, if you want to see an action fight, tune into that one, man.
Bro, I really, I don't want to pick right now, but I feel like Kevin Holland is more well-rounded. But if you look at Jack last fight, that guy was putting a lot of pressure on him, taking him down and stuff like that, and trying to utilize the clinch game, and he was able to withstand that. You know, that was a real tough fight for him. So I feel like he definitely grown from that fight, and I feel like his grappling capabilities are going to be a little bit better. So I'm real curious about that one.
All right, give me one more.
Curtis Blades versus Jailton Almeida, November 4th in Brazil.
Jailton Almeida, up-and-comer. He's submission specialist, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which is very rare for the heavyweight division these days. Curtis Razor Blades, he's a heavyweight. He's a really good wrestler, starting to get a little bit of hands. I feel like he lost all hopes of a title shot in his future when he lost his last fight, getting knocked out by Sergey Pavlovich. Jailton Almeida, he's one of those that I'm probably going to pick him until I have a reason not to. But it should be real interesting because his strength is Curtis Blades' strength. That being said, if he can submit Curtis Blades, I would say he will be on the fast track, but make no mistake about it, him fighting Curtis Blades is the fast track.
Yeah, Curtis Blades is number 5, I think, and Almeida is number 9. Um, Curtis Blades have suffered uh, 2 devastating knockouts that derailed his shot to a title. Um, Most people would have thought that he would have got a title shot by now or be champion by now. You know, most people thought that he would be like in that Cyril Gahn spot, just holding it till John Jones get back, basically. Um, but I don't know.
Which
Go ahead.
no, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Um, if I had to pick in this fight, I'm gonna pick Johnson Almeida. Uh, Usually when you get like a grappler versus grappler or jiu-jitsu versus wrestler, sometimes it cancels out and you get a striking matchup. And I feel like Blaze might be a little shell shocked, you know, getting the two nasty knockouts, even though that wasn't in a row, but because he had a win over Chris Dawkins in between. Even though that's not saying too much, but anyway, I feel like Jonathan Almeida, man, like my brother said, it's not too many heavyweights and that has great jiu-jitsu. The last one that came to mind is Big Nog or Fabricio Verdum, and they've both been out the UFC for a couple of years now. So, you know, that role has been waiting to be filled, and Almeida has definitely filled that role. I'm not a huge Curtis Blades fan. I would like to see Almeida take this fight, and I think that if I had to pick, I would say he's going to win by decision, and I feel like he can probably get a title shot in the next couple of years, possibly. But you got to remember, John Jones is going against Stipe, and you got Sergey Pavlovich, who has um, 4 straight knockouts in the first round. So he would be next up, and then maybe the winner of that can face against Johnson Almeida. You know, so that's going to be a pretty good fight. And it's been a while since they've been in Brazil too, so I'm looking forward to that. We also have another fight between Rafael Fiziev and Matej Gamrot. Fiziev is the number 6 person, and Gamrot is the number 7. It's a lightweight bout. Fiziev is coming off a loss to Justin Gaethje. It was a 3-round war. He definitely has great stand-up. Is an elite striker, and he's going against Matej Gamrot. Gamrot, his last fight, he won against Jalen Turner. It was a 3-round decision. He stepped in as a late replacement, I believe, for Dan Hooker. In this fight, I definitely got Fiziev winning. I feel like, you know, he might even knock him out in the second round. You know, Chris said Noche might be the best fight night card of the year. Possibly, we'll see. I'm gonna pull it up and see. But I definitely got Fiziev. I definitely got him knocking out Gamrot in the second round. That's on September 23rd. So that's pretty much it. We also got Paulo Costa versus Khamzat Chimaev. That's going to be a banger. That's October 21st on a Saturday. Paulo Costa, he's the number 7th ranked fighter. Chimaev, he's number 4 in the welterweight division. He's moving up to the middleweight division because he's been having weight cutting issues and missing weight and everything like that. If I had to pick in this fight, I would pick Chimaev to win. You know, he got decent stand up, but he's more of a Dagestani type grappler. You know, Costa, he tends to wear down and gas out in the later rounds. He usually comes out hot and strong, and then he ended up falling off, you know, towards the middle of the fight or towards the end of the fight. So if I had to pick for this one, I would definitely pick Chimaev. I even say that he might even ground and pound him out because I definitely see Paulo Costa gassing out in that fight. He gassed it out in his last fight against Luke Rockhold. So that's pretty much that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and end the show. I appreciate y'all for tuning in, and I hope everybody have a good weekend, a good night. You got UFC tomorrow in Singapore. The main event is Max Holloway versus Korean Zombie, 8 a.m. Tune in. All right. Peace.